At 3 a.m. on February 2nd, 1959, in the Ural Mountains of Russia, 9 experienced hikers slashed their way out of a tent. From the inside, they ran barefoot into the snow, some in underwear, others shoeless, one missing her tongue. Their bodies were found weeks later, some with crushed ribs, others with radiation on their clothes. The official report said, "A compelling natural force." But what natural force tears a tent from the inside and leaves no footprints of an attacker? This is the story of the Dyatlov Pass Incident, one of the most chilling, unsolved mysteries in modern history. 9 young people, students and friends, set out to conquer the snowy peaks of Kolat-Syakhl. They were skilled, prepared, and full of life, but within days, they were gone, and what happened to them remains as mysterious today as it was 65 years ago. On January 27, 1959, Igor Dyatlov led his group of 9 hikers into the northern Urals. Their goal? To reach the peak of Otorten, a challenging but achievable climb. They were well equipped: warm clothing, food, maps, radios. They even carried a camera. Everything pointed to a successful expedition. But on February 2nd, something went terribly wrong. When the group failed to return, a search party was sent. What they found was not just disturbing, it was impossible. The tent had been cut open from the inside, as if the hikers had fled in panic. Footprints led away from the camp into the snow. Some were barefoot, others wore only socks or slippers. One woman's body was found half-dressed, her coat missing. Another had no shoes, and yet none of them showed signs of struggle. No bruises, no cuts, no defensive wounds. The first bodies were discovered on February 26th, 2 men and 3 women scattered across the slope. They were dressed in winter gear, but some were missing coats, gloves, or boots. One man's skull was fractured, another had broken ribs, yet there were no external wounds. It was as if an invisible force had struck them, hard enough to kill, but gentle enough not to leave a mark. As the search continued, more bodies were found. Further down the mountain, one woman's tongue was missing, another had severe internal injuries, including a crushed chest with no sign of trauma to her skin. 2 more bodies were discovered months later, buried under snow, their faces frozen in terror. The investigation that followed was shrouded in secrecy. The Soviet government closed the case quickly, citing a compelling natural force. No further details were given. For decades, the truth remained buried under layers of bureaucracy and fear, but the mystery refused to die. In 2019, the Russian government reopened the case and officially concluded it was caused by an avalanche. But scientists disagreed. There was no evidence of an avalanche, no snow displacement, no debris, just 9 dead hikers and a tent torn open from the inside. What happened that night? Was it nature? Or something far more sinister? As we dive deeper, you'll see why this case continues to haunt the world. And why, even today, no one can say for sure what truly happened on that frozen mountainside. The autopsies told a story that defied logic. Some of the hikers had suffered massive internal trauma, crushed ribs, fractured skulls, yet their skin was unbroken. No bruises, no lacerations, no signs of attack. It was as if they had been hit by a force so powerful it shattered bones without touching the flesh. One woman, Lyudmila Dubinina, was found with her tongue missing. Her eyes were also gone. Her chest was crushed, yet her skin was intact. Another hiker, Alexander Zolotaryov, had severe internal bleeding, but no external wounds. His face was frozen in a grimace of terror. Radiation tests added another layer of mystery. Some of the hikers' clothing showed elevated levels of radiation, levels high enough to suggest exposure to nuclear material. But how? The area was remote. No known military activity, no nuclear tests, and yet the radiation was real. The official explanation, a compelling natural force, was vague. Too vague. Over the years, dozens of theories emerged. Some were scientific, others were wild. All tried to explain the inexplicable. The Avalanche theory gained traction in 2019. Scientists suggested that a rare type of slab avalanche, triggered by wind and terrain, could have forced the hikers to flee. But critics pointed out there was no snow displacement, no debris, no signs of avalanche damage. And why would trained hikers slash their tent open from the inside? Why run barefoot into minus 30 degrees Celsius snow? Another theory involved infrasound, low-frequency sound waves that can cause panic, disorientation, and even physical harm. Wind blowing over the mountain could have created infrasound that drove the hikers mad, forcing them to flee in terror. But again, no evidence of such conditions was recorded. Then came the military test theory. The Ural Mountains were home to secret Soviet facilities. Could the hikers have stumbled upon a weapons test? Radiation on their clothes supports this, but no records exist, no witnesses, no proof. Some believed it was Yeti, a mythical creature said to roam the mountains. Others suggested alien abduction. The radiation, the missing organs, the lack of footprints, but these theories lacked credibility. The most chilling theory? They were murdered, but by whom and why? No weapon was found, no footprints of an attacker, no signs of struggle, just 9 bodies and a tent torn open from the inside. As the years passed, the case became a symbol of the unknown, a reminder that even in our age of science and technology, some mysteries refuse to be solved. The Dyatlov Pass Incident is not just a story of death, it's a story of fear. Fear so great it made 9 people choose death over staying inside. In 2019, the Russian government officially closed the case, blaming an avalanche. But the scientific community wasn't convinced. Experts pointed out the tent was pitched on a slope too gentle for an avalanche. The snow was stable. There was no debris, no signs of snow displacement. And yet, the government insisted. For many, the closure felt like a cover-up, a way to silence questions about what really happened. Because if it wasn't an avalanche, what was it? The answer may lie in the human psyche. Fear can drive people to do the unthinkable. In extreme cold, hypothermia can cause confusion, hallucinations, and irrational behavior. Perhaps the hikers panicked, not because of an external threat, but because of their own minds. Maybe the wind sounded like voices. Maybe the snow seemed alive. Maybe they thought they saw something and ran. But even this doesn't explain everything. Why did some hikers remove their clothes? Why were their bodies found miles apart? Why did one woman's tongue disappear? These are questions science cannot answer. The Dyatlov Pass Incident has become a cultural phenomenon. Books, documentaries, films, and podcasts have explored its secrets. Artists have painted the scene. The torn tent, the footprints, the frozen faces. And every year, on February 2nd, someone leaves a single red rose at the site. a silent tribute to those who never returned. So why does this case grip us? Because it represents the limits of knowledge. We have satellites, drones, forensic science, yet we cannot explain what happened to 9 hikers in a snowy mountain range. In our age of total surveillance, that kind of disappearance is impossible, which makes it all the more haunting. The Dyatlov Pass Incident reminds us that some truths are not meant to be uncovered. Some stories are meant to remain incomplete, not because we lack the tools, but because the mystery itself is the message. They chose to flee, and in doing so, they became eternal. Today, their names are etched in stone: Igor Dyatlov, Yuri Krivonishenko, Rustem Slobodin, Zinaida Kolmogorova, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Zolotaryov, Nikolai Thibaut Brignol, Georgy Krivonishenko, and Alexander Kolevatov. 9 lives, 1 mystery, and a question that echoes through time. What terrified them so badly they'd rather die than stay inside? As for you, what do you believe? Was it nature, a military experiment, or something far more sinister? Drop your theory in the comments. I read every one. If you want more deep dives into unsolved mysteries, hit subscribe and tap the bell. Next time on The Unseen Case, the Black Dahlia, a Hollywood starlet found sliced in half, her face smiling and no killer ever caught. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical, and remember, sometimes the greatest mysteries aren't out there, they're buried in silence. Thanks for watching The Unseen Case.